Welcome to Game Soup. It's a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking. I'm Chloe Montgomery and I'm joined by your pit crawler's pit crawler,
Kayla Dice.
We're just back from Tabletop Scotland and I'm a bit sick and low energy, so forgive us, but you know.
I'm not sick, other than like
oh well,
in the head, but
the usual amount.
Yeah, no, I'm just a bit exhausted still, but that's fine. I sort of plan to go like quite hard at the con, and then take essentially like a week off from most other stuff I do. So staying indoors. If I can't do most things from like an armchair on my phone, I'm leaving them. But saying that, I have been starting to put into layout Nemesis Retribution.
Yahoo!
Yeah, so far I'm just doing like the text layout, figuring out the pages. I don't know how many pages this will be, and that will affect...
Is that scary or exciting?
No, that's scary, because in my mind I'm like, yeah, I can finish this up, get it laid out, and print that, and that's a new thing to have at Dragon Meet. Well, I'll have two new things at Dragon Meet, because I'll also have Psycho Dungeon out by then.
Yeah.
But... yeah, but I'm also like, oh, if this starts drifting past 40 page zine into like 50 or 60, that's suddenly like,
it sounds expensive to print. Yeah.
Yes, which makes it expensive to sell, which makes it a harder sell. But I'll see how things go as I lay it out. And I imagine there's some things I can cut, because the game does have some like appendixes and bibliography stuff that like I can easily just put to...
That's the stuff you put in your game if you're trying to get up to the next multiple of 4.
I mean, I think some of the appendixes are useful because some of them are play variations, but yeah. I mean, I'll see how this goes as I lay text out, and I have ideas for what I'm going to do for the art, because it's a lot of different kind of stories. I'm going to do a mix of, like, some public domain comic book art, which will include both, like, some superhero stuff, but also, because I've got one thing which is set in a sort of, like, anthropomorphic DuckTales-esque world, I've grabbed some old, like, funny animal comics where they have basically, like, that duck design. And then I'm also going to do a mashup, sort of the similar thing I did for 30 Foes, with what I did for Wild Duelist, where I'm going to get some like old paintings of knights and then kit bash them with like comic book sci-fi backgrounds and make swords glow to get a sci-fi fantasy. Then I think... then for the last time I'm going to do some like Psycho Dungeon.
Neat. And when's that coming out, Kayla?
Dunno. Because I'm going to see how long this takes, both to make, and then I'd need to do the art, which could be its own sort of pacing on it. But also, at some point, I'm going to flip. I might not have this finished by the time I decide I need to start laying out Psycho Dungeon properly. So, that could mean it's like... So, in theory, it could come out, like, in 2 weeks. Or maybe it's like I have half finished, and then put out probably... So if I flip to Psycho Dungeon, it's like I'll put it out after, not just after Psycho Dungeon's release, which I'd aim to have at like mid-October, but also after like probably after the Transgender Deathmatch Legend Kickstarter, so it doesn't just like, so they don't eat each other's hype or whatever. So that would probably put it to going in November. There's a chance in this world, I feel what could happen if I have it, like, done, but I don't want to release it until after the Kickstarter. I feel there's a chance both that the game will be available physically at Dragon Meet before it's released digitally, and I might also, because I still need to send over, like, the text documents of the games, but maybe I'll also, like... Yeah, I could see myself releasing it through my store. Like having it as an add-on or something, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
Stay tuned and find out.
Yeah, if you come and see me at Dragon Meet, where I'm going to be with Laurie, Kristen, and people again, I'll have Psycho Dungeon, Nemesis Retribution, and I'm also gonna like jazz up how you can buy terminals, so like box it a bit. So that's some exciting new stock for the next con I'm gonna be at.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm finally releasing Mouse in the House.
Ooh.
A game I think I wrote months ago and has just been set on my hard drive because kind of thought I'd already released it.
I did wonder why when you were like, yeah, I'm going to release that. I was like, oh yeah, what was the hold up there? Whatever you just,
I forgot. But yeah, it's done. 12-page zine. Probably put it up for a $5. Pretty happy with it.
Nice.
Did post the cover art on Twitter and get a very hasty DM from the artist like, why did you use the sketch instead of the final art for the cover? So that's where I'm at this week.
Oh. Was there an actual reason you did, or was it just you got
because I clicked the wrong file.
Nice! There's more colouring on that as well. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Mouse in the House. Go listen to the episode titled Mice the Lending to learn all about that, I guess.
Yeah, that's where we started that one.
That's why we made that one.
Yeah, I feel like you added a lot more, though, like...
Yeah, I mean... I quite like it. Nice little dice pool system. Stuff to do in between sessions. And you play it in your house, so... Don't leave your socks lying around.
Fun. I think it's fun, and I think it will... Yeah, I think people will like it, and I also think it would look nice having that printed if you're planning to get that done at some point.
I mean, at the very least, we're going to get that printed for Dragonmeet or whichever next con we end up going to. And I can confirm that we are actually going to Dragonmeet with the Indie League, so we will be there.
Ah, nice.
Okay. Yes. So it should hopefully be there. We're wanting to do a Kickstarter for something. Kayla knows what it is, but I'm not ready to announce that yet. So stay tuned, loyal listeners.
I do enjoy the thing of announcing stuff on the podcast. I'm not ready to tweet about or post about anything, but I'll happily discuss on a podcast.
Oh, well, fair enough.
I know, that's me just going, I personally find that fun, but I understand if you're like, no. The reveal will be full and official and everywhere or nowhere.
See, I don't want to announce it and then change my mind.
That I understand. I like the fact of this podcast and other things I do sometimes as a record of places I've changed my mind. Same with my newsletter. Because I announce loads of stuff in my newsletter that you can read back and it's like, oh, that didn't get finished. A lot of times they're things that will eventually happen, but like got moved around. Like I definitely talked about a game I had for a while planned that was like a musical game that I've essentially like soft fridged because another musical game came out that had a similar title to what I was planning and also a similar like basic appeal. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll bank that idea for now. Like, but maybe one.
Oh boy, two cakes.
1, 2 cakes.
No, I'm saying like, oh no, people aren't going to want to try my cake because there's another cake that's exactly the same. But oh boy, 2 cakes is what most people are like.
I get that in general. I feel like Jukebox Musical Simulator is a very hyper-specific pitch.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm aware to some extent like that can still have a 2 cakes feel because they seem mildly different, but I think they're kind of close enough that I think a lot of people don't think, oh yeah, I could use 2 of these. I think the only way they're buying 2 is like, which one's better to use? And then you need to sort of make a case that my game is better, which I wouldn't necessarily want to do. I think I'm gonna, at some point, this is the thing of, I'll just announce something that like I maybe won't do until sometime next year. I'll take a lot of the mechanical stuff I figured that out and mash that up with some like individual stories and do them as like one-shot music.
That's fun.
Yeah. What was your favourite part of Tabletop Scotland?
Getting home. No. No. Getting to meet our lovely fans, actually. We got to meet Ziggy and some of our other fans. It was really nice. So,
Yeah.
shout out to the gays. How about you?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun there. I enjoyed getting to see people, getting to talk about games. I enjoyed getting to find out about games of mine that have been played by different people. That was nice and exciting. Running some demos was cool on the stall. Like I ran a demo of Out of the Fold and also of Laurie's game, Witch of the Westmoreland. So that stuff was cool. And yeah, I liked this con for a similar reason I've liked Norwich and Dragonmeet before, and which I've not necessarily had from UKG before, because I often think I found that harder because of like being a smaller part of other stalls. Is where I'm like, I came away with a lot of fun ideas, like either ideas about specific design things I might want to try, or ideas relating to like the thing of I'm going to change up Terminal for the next convention and start selling it as a box set with like the book, the GM screen, and pre-printed character sheets. Like that's a presentation idea which I have now, and like I have some other ideas about like how I'll do stalls and stuff in the future, but also I think a thing I find fun is because I've talked on this podcast before about how like I feel like my game design tendencies are shifting, as like the main context in which I play RPGs right now is as one-shot games at like a board game cafes for social. Yeah. I was like, I can see my design shifting more to a one-shot stuff. And what I've enjoyed both from the last two cons I've been at is realizing like, one-shots are on the up, baby. One-shot stock is rising. This is a great time for me to get in on the ground floor of one-shots.
Invest in one-shots.
Invest in one-shots.
Dump your campaign stocks.
Sell your stock in campaigns. Get out of there now. No, I mean, like, I'm sure, like, campaigns and regular game stuff appeals to some people still. And I think there is a lot of value in making games like Nemesis Retribution here, where it's like, you can play this as a really fun one-shot, and that's what its first design for is. It's very easy to just play more of it.
Yeah.
Not all of the one-shot games I have are like that. Like, Out of the Fold, you can play the game again, but, like, the fun of that is probably having a different group, rather than continuously going back to the same well with the same people.
Yeah.
But, yeah. The other thing I always remember about cons is when I got asked at Norwich, do you have any games with rats? And I very embarrassingly had to think for a while and go, not really.
Someone asked that at Scotland, actually.
What?
So do you have any rat games? Yeah, so...
No, but we have...
You gotta get on it.
So do we want to do this for this week? Figure out what my rat game is?
No, I think we save rat game for next week, because this week we have Attack Podcasting Tabletop Scotland.
The spoils of Attack Podcast. How was Attack Podcasting?
It was fun. There was a lot of nervous people. It's like I would go up to stalls and they'd be like, I'm not actually on this stall. You're going to want to speak to my manager. And it's like, but you are a representative of this shop, right? You are exhibiting at this con.
Was this, I guess, more with like shops or things rather than...
Well, it was like, I don't want to put anyone on blast, but it was like small indie creator with lots of games that I own. And it's like, I go up to their store and it's like, hey, do you want to be on our podcast? I'm just going to do a little 2-minute thing, get your little advert. And they're like, I'm not actually on this store. If you come back in like an hour, they're just on lunch at the minute. It's like, I'm not doing that. And like, I went to one of the big like actual shops that was like con like that was tabling there, and again, they were like, "Oh yeah, I'll just get my manager because I'm just like, I'm not like the face of the shop." Okay, but right now you are the face of the shop, aren't you? I'm talking to you, talking to your face.
I think like the thing is, I think maybe like I don't know how you introduced it because I don't know if I've ever gone around to tag podcasting with you. But I don't know if you introduced it as I'm going to ask you for a word, or can I like record saying for a podcast where people think, oh, this is an interview, I need to say things about stuff.
So, if I remember correctly, I'm typically like, hi, can I interview you? Can I do a quick interview with you for our podcast? It'll be 2 minutes long. You can get a little advert in, and I just get a prompt for a game.
Yeah, I think it's where you're saying interview is why people are saying they need to get like, someone else. I think if you just say, can you plug the stall? Can you, like, give me a word for an improv podcast I do, and you can also plug your stall in this recording, people wouldn't think they need to grab their manager.
Yeah.
A lesson learned.
Yes. Lessons learned for Attack Podcasting 4, or whatever.
Dragon Meat, I guess, is where you'll be attacking next.
Yeah.
You're going to go
I want
fight
to do
the
it
dragon.
at the new... Yeah, unless I want to do it at the Gateshead Con that I might be just visiting as a punter. Like, not as a seller.
Do you know who is there as a seller?
No idea.
This can be an off-mic conversation, to be fair. But yeah, we'll hear from the next attack. So which one do you want to start with?
We'll play from the bottom of my list of clips I sent to you.
Okay. Playing now.
Well, live at Tabletop Scotland, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Masters, author and illustrator of The Adventurer's Apprentice, an RPG for 4 to 8-year-olds. And a random one-word prompt would be ukulele.
Thank you very much.
Ukulele. I like this.
Yeah.
I'm excited about what we're going to get done with ukulele. Are we just going straight up now?
Let's go up, yeah.
Well, live at Tabletop Scotland, please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Panny with Leyline Press, and we're here selling Salvage Union, a post-apocalyptic mech RPG, and a whole bunch of other zines and games.
Thank you, and what's your one word?
Mech.
Mech, thank you.
Yes! Ukulele mech! Oh! Is this about being like a mech bard?
I was going to say, is it like you are a robot band, but it's like, what is the mech equivalent of a bard? I guess. Are you a mech pilot who is also a radio presenter?
I maybe wonder if you are a traveling, if you are a mech that is also like a musical festival. There is a festival inside the mech at all times.
Oh, okay.
But also, otherwise, this mech visits and is like the soundtracker for fights between other bigger mechs. This is purely like a luxury mech that has to like stay life and alive in fights and then also be like pumping out the music for the festival going on in its guts.
I'm trying to figure out the scale of this mech. Like, there's a festival inside of it, but it's also a smaller mech.
Well, it's smaller than the mechs designed for fighting. And I'm like a festival, like, scale this. Like, think of the scale of festival. This isn't like there is Glastonbury inside it.
Okay.
Like, it's the kind of festival that in the real world would be like an indoor festival, like a series of venues in a central part rather than like a park or a stadium.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you have to go between the towns in the world. You have to pick up artists for your gigs. But on the way, you also have to be like going out of your way to like be the soundtrack for cool fights. You have to keep the people inside you interested by like giving them cool shit to look at, and like you have to have the right music for each encounter that's going on.
Yeah, for some reason, thinking about mechs and the kind of places you're going down, I've wondered if, like, oh, maybe the fun aspect of the mechs is if these are, like, ancient machines that people mostly don't understand. Like how, like, you have, like, the divine beasts in Zelda.
Yeah.
And, like, I think, yeah, maybe you are one of them, specifically. But yeah, you are playing, like, a group of people who found this mech and are using it for this festival, but maybe also the mech might have its own journey that is being done by, like, soundtracking these battles and gathering people.
Yeah. I like this. It's called Mechapalooza.
Yeah, Mechapalooza. That sounds fun. What kind of mechanics do you imagine? Like, not even in a, like, big, granular way, but just are we thinking dice? Are we thinking tokens?
I think you certainly get a map, and I think there's some sort of resource that you have to be gaining and spending. Like you have to be gaining cash from people coming to your festival so you can buy fuel, but you can also use that cash to get better, like, musicians or, like, defenses for your mech. Yeah.
Maybe what you have is, like, certain things like resources not represented as, like, a static number, but as, like, a kind of polyhedral dice, and you're rolling it when you're spending cash or resources, and if you fail a roll, it's, like, going down to the next polyhedral.
Go down a dice size, yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost then sort of like a bit of a worker placement thing with the stock dice you have.
Yeah, and it's like you have to go to these mech battles. They are dangerous, but you will find, like, treasure or whatever that gets sloughed off of these ancient mechs that you can then sell, which, like, puts your dice up a size or something.
Yeah. I could... Do you
There's
think
the
you've got a
loot.
mech game in you?
Yeah, I could probably make a mech game. I don't know. I don't know how I would make a mech distinct from a guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, because this, in some senses, because I'm now imagining this, like, yes, you're mech, but otherwise it's in a vaguely sort of, like, low fantasy setting, I'm like, I could see this being a biscuit fun game, but I do feel it would have been came up with by Alyssa first.
I think if this was the idea first and then whatever, I think it would end up being like, oh, you have, like, a giant turtle or something, or, like, a travelling caravan. You wouldn't be in, like, a giant mech yourself, I don't think.
Yeah,
but
I could see that.
But the fact that you are in this mech, I think, is fun. Like, you have to be getting fuel. You have to be getting defenses. Like, rather than just, like, you have to feed the turtle. It's like, okay. It's like the actual fuel is, like, a distinct thing from, like, the food. Like, maybe you have to get food for the people inside you as well. Like, just a giant cabbage leaf. Anyway,
yeah, it almost feels vaguely management simmy.
Yeah, it's a management sim. I think there's a very good video game adaptation of it. It's like, it gets, like, some press on Polygon. It's like, it's a cute, cozy game with good music. It doesn't win anyone's Game of the Year, but, you know, it's fun.
I see. Yeah. Do you want to go up the attack line again?
Yes, let's go to the next one.
We're live at Tabletop Scotland. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Claire. I'm here with the Pandemonium Institute running Blood on the Clock Tower. It's a social deduction game, and you should definitely check it out.
Thank you very much. What's your word, please?
Milkshake.
Milkshake, thank you.
Please let the next word be duck. Please let the next word be duck. I could see it happening is the thing. This could have happened entirely by coincidence.
Totally independently.
We ready to go to the next one?
Go ahead.
We're live at Tabletop Scotland. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Matt from Mox in the Hole. We're an Edinburgh-based shop that does a lot of TCGs. We also do dice and RPGs and just anything gaming related.
Thank you very much, and please give me one word.
Wrath?
Wrath, thank you very much.
Damn it. Milkshake Wrath. I think this is a game For some
Yeah.
reason, I've just something has emerged like so almost fully formed in my mind. This is a game in like some like pseudo anachronistic, like vague 20 setting where you are gangs based out of milkshake bars.
Yeah.
It's just
You
like
got
a
the
gang
soda
warfare
float
game.
party soon.
Yeah, it's a gang warfare game about, but all of your gangs are like themed in just like weird kind of shitty ways. And so like, there's the milkshake bar boys, the soda poppers. I think maybe like there's a vague prohibition has gone on, but like instead of
so
like
everyone has to drink milkshakes.
underground things, then all of the gangs are inspired by like whatever random substitute they've got.
Yeah.
Like
So
I
if they
think
could
the
just all
world
come
this
together, they
runs
could
on,
put- They just
I feel
come
like the
together,
world
they
this
put ice cream in their sodas, and they're happy. But no. They have to fight.
I feel the world this runs on is the world as presented by like a 50s style PSA.
Yeah. Are you and your friends getting into milkshakes? Stop. Think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all that started like that. I think, like, this is just kind of a fun combat game in whatever you find the most fun version of combat. I don't know. Do you make much combat in games? Just, like, I guess there's combat in Bitter Cold, though that's more illicit.
I mean, Skirmish is a war game. Honestly, I tried to, like, write a reason to not have combat. It's like Mouse in the House. It's like, if you ever pick a fight, you're gonna lose that fight. That's in the text of the rules. It's like Goblin Country, Kobold Country. Again, everyone you'd want to pick a fight with can tear you limb from limb. Yeah.
Do you think that says anything about, like, the state of mind you feel about violence, personally?
I just think violence is hard to write for RPGs.
Fair. Yeah, I almost assume this could be, like, skirmishy. You could probably do this as a setting for skirmish.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, I was thinking, like, in my head, this is probably just a setting guide for City of Mist.
Blade?
Or
I was going to say
in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark. It's like a kid-friendly Blades in the Dark.
Yeah, it's...
But actually,
scrolls
it could
in
also
the
be a
nighttime.
skirmish setting. Yeah.
But yeah. I think... What's it called? What's the skirmish setting called? Friendly Wargaming :
Like, can't be just called, like, the Milkshake War.
I think we've had that. Did we do that already?
No, that was the
Pretzel
War on Pretzels. The War on Pretzels, an entirely different thing.
I think...
But I feel like saying about one of the things, like...
Milkshake City or something.
Milkshake City is real.
Yeah, I'm sticking with
Oh,
Milkshake City.
Or, like, for some reason my mind's then gone to man stabbed in the throat with milkshake.
It's Nigel Farage's nightmare.
Thank you for listening to Game Soup.
Thank you.